time frame it goes around about 1500 BC, and that's around the time of Moses. Moses began to write by revelation, that is, God gave him things to write, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, and then other writers from that time. So it starts around 1500. And when Moses started to write, he included these things called genealogies, such and such was the father of such and so on. The Israelites had kept very accurate records of their family tree. Now what's interesting is that Moses didn't use it all. He didn't use it all. And the reason we know that is because other biblical writers quote some of those family histories, and they quote more than Moses did. So they had these records of their family history that they could use, and they used often selectively. And the danger is if we start to do maths on the family trees, because you won't be able to do it because there's huge chunks missing. So the last book of the Bible is the book of Revelation, and that had to have been written in around 65. We're pretty sure 65 AD. What we're not so sure about is exactly which month of 65 AD. And the reason we're so sure is because if you know first century history, something cataclysmic happened in 64 AD. And that was when Caesar Nero began killing Christians by the tens of thousands. That's in 64 AD. Among the first Christians that were killed were Peter, who was crucified upside down, and Paul, who was beheaded. And then there were tens of thousands of Christians being killed from 64 AD. And John refers to that in Revelation chapter 1, and he calls that the tribulation. And he says this, I am your brother in this tribulation. Why? Because Caesar Nero had ordered his death, John's death, and the blighter didn't die. They threw him in a vat of hot boiling oil expecting that he would die, and he didn't. He had a bath. And he got out and they said, well, we can't kill him, let's get rid of him. And they banished him to the island of Patmos. And it was there that he wrote his book, and he said, hey, I'm in this tribulation with you guys. And then he goes on and he says something like this. There in Revelation chapter 17, verse 10, he says this, there are 7 kings, 5 have fallen, and 1 now is. The 7 kings, how well you know your Roman history, the first king of Rome was Julius, then Augustus, then Tiberius, then Caligula, then Claudius. 5 have fallen, 1 now is. The next one was Caesar Nero. Began reigning as the emperor of Rome from the age of 17, and he died in AD 68 at the age of 31. And 1 now is. So there's the 1 now is. So it can't be past 68 AD, and it can't be before he began to reign. So we know it's 65 AD. And that's the last book of the Bible that was written. So that's the time frame of when the Bible was written. By the way, there are other events that happened that Jesus said would happen in his lifetime, and they were fulfilled around that time as well.